over 20 times, including twice in the back. The video surveillance footage would indeed show this. So this is at the heart. We want all of the documents, ballistic information, but this video surveillance footage is crucial, and we believe the people of Michigan and the people of America, the people of the world, have a right to know about this case. I just came back into the country less than 2 weeks ago. I was in the West African country of Mali. I spoke at an international conference, and I addressed this situation. I was asked questions about religious scholars halfway across the world about what happened to the imam. So the world wants to know what happened in this case.
Could you, Ms. Kerwitz, if you could address, are they claiming ongoing investigations, these various agencies? Are they giving a rationale for the denial? Under what circumstances could they legally withhold this information, or is there?
Well, those are two different questions.
Okay.
What they are really doing in response to these requests up till now, it's been mentioned that one agency has said there is an ongoing investigation. Yet, interestingly, the city of Dearborn has simply ignored the request and not responded at all. The city of Detroit has said, we're not giving you any documents because as of this moment, the FBI is maintaining all these documents, so you need to talk to them. Well, that's somewhat disingenuous, to say the least, because under the law, even if they were turning documents over to the FBI, they would retain copies of their own records pursuant to their own policies and procedures. They have to retain their own records for 99 years. So there is a definite sort of shell game going on here, where there's one agency saying, well, don't come to us, go to them. The other agency saying, we don't have anything. The Michigan State Police says, we don't have any. We've looked, and they use very careful language. They say, based on a review, we do not have in our custody at this time any of the records that you are asking for, which is a completely indirect and evasive response under the law. So at this point, nobody is claiming that we are not entitled to these records. Interesting.
So where is this going to be litigated?
In Wayne County Circuit Court.
So is your office, or you personally, have you worked on cases similar to this before?
We have begun, my office has been handling a fair number of FOIA cases at this point, particularly with respect to law enforcement agencies, quote-unquote internal investigations that would, if disclosed, shed light on potential wrongdoing by those agencies, yes.
What's the success rate, or approximately, how hard is it to do these?
At this point, all of the cases that we have going are still pending, so come back to me in a month or 6.
How long have you been, when's the first case you took up?
Under the Freedom of Information Act?
Yeah.
My office, I and my partner have been collectively litigating police misconduct directly for, between the two of us, probably 70 years. Specifically under the Freedom of Information Act, this is somewhat of a more recent area that we've gotten involved in. So as I said, all the cases that we've been litigating. For the most part, though, when the precedent under FOIA is pretty strong, and I think at this point they are simply trying to delay their obligation to disclose these records for as long as possible. This is a tactic that is very frequently used by government agencies to avoid turning over documents they are legally required to turn over by simply delaying it for as long as possible.
Why the Michigan State Police first? Any reason for that? Or
It's just a matter of timing. You only have a certain number of days to file a legal appeal for a denial. The Michigan State Police was the first agency to deny the request, so the time was running on them first.
Say there's additional lawsuits against other government entities involved. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
At this time, we are not going to announce the remaining entities that we are filing against, but other government entities. We'll be announcing this shortly.
Unless, of course, they change their mind and decide to comply with the law.
You said it was unclear who participated in the raid. Have the state police or the Dearborn police indicated that they were in fact involved?
The 911 tapes that were released by the ACLU that were provided by the Dearborn police actually indicate that the Dearborn police were present at the warehouse at the time of the shooting, according to a witness that called in and made a 911 call. We also have evidence that the Detroit Police Department was involved as well, although it was outside of their jurisdiction. These are things that we will be litigating to determine the exact extent of their involvement in these raids.
What evidence regards the state police?
Regarding the Michigan
State,
Police.
yeah.
What we know is that the Michigan Attorney General's office has gotten involved, and it is just pretty much routine that when the Attorney General's office is investigating incident, the Michigan State Police are frequently the investigative arm of that process.
I would wonder, because I would think if you guys ask for particular documents and you don't have proof that they were there, could they just come back and say we weren't around? And then stonewall that way if in fact they're stonewall.
They would say that if that were true. They haven't said that.
Yes.
Has anything trickled down from the Attorney General's office as far as any progress?
Well, as I stated earlier, it was in February 2nd where we had a press conference, and Congressman Conyers had announced that the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division would be launching a review into the FBI shooting results. Shortly after that announcement, we received a letter from the Department of Justice saying that they had launched a review of the FBI shooting results and to determine if they would launch a civil rights investigation to make a determination. Now, since that time, not only has our organization written Department of Justice, but other organizations, including the NAACP, have written them. And not only that, at least 3 months ago, we wrote a letter to President Obama asking his office, his administration, to follow up with Attorney General Holder in terms of the shooting of Imam Lukman and for our calls for a thorough and transparent civil rights investigation. Since numerous pieces of correspondence and public calls, we have not received word back from the Obama administration, White House. We have not received word back from Attorney General Holder, the head of the Justice Department, nor have we heard word back from Mr. Perez, who heads the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department. So we've basically gotten a no answer from the Department of Justice. I mean, and this is in regards to if they're going to launch a civil rights investigation or not, or just to give us the results of their review of their probe into the FBI's shooting results. None of this has been made public despite a long period of time. And we're talking almost a year since the Imam shooting, and then we're talking about 6 months from when the DOJ announced that they would be reviewing to make a determination.
What about like Doug Baker's office? Anything coming out of there as far as if they're far along, or it's just kind of floating? The review of the Dearborn and FBI investigations.
We have heard no word from Attorney General Mike Cox or from the independent investigator Doug Baker in terms of when they're going to release results of their investigation. I will say that out of all the entities that have been involved thus far, we've named in terms of the Michigan State Police, Detroit Police, and the Dearborn Police. The Dearborn Police has been the most egregious in terms of the suppression of public information, going back to when they asked Wayne County Medical Examiner to suppress the photos as well as the autopsy report of the Imam, in which they continuously strung us along as well as our community and in terms of that they were wrapping up their investigation, that they would publicly announce the results of